What up, guys? Today we are going to build this outfeed table. Connects my regular cabinet saw and my slider, and it's got a ton of storage underneath. I'm going to show you how I made it. All right, so before I really do anything, I need to get these situated where I want them, the saws, and I have this saw and then the slider back here, and I need to make sure that the fence won't interfere when I'm ripping over here. I also need to get these things perfectly level with each other, and then I'll design and build the cabinets for in here. This post is going to come out because it's going to be in the way, and we're going to have drops coming down for power, as well as the dust collection will run right down the middle here, and we'll have drops coming down to each machine. But first things first, got to clear up some of this junk and get these exactly where they need to be. All right, so here we go. I'm just moving some stuff out of the way, cleaning up a little bit. There's literally stuff everywhere in here. These were some 2x6s that I saved from taking this wall down. I'm going to use those for the vertical plywood storage rack I'm going to build. So just getting those out of my way here. And then really thinking about the layout of these saws so that nothing will interfere with each other, so I can use the saws without having to move the fence or take the crosscut fence off the slider or anything like that. First, I needed to get this 2x6 down. I left it up just to keep the temporary electric on it, but it's in my way, so it needs to come out. All this wiring is going to be moved. And then I had to run out and do some stuff that afternoon, so back here at night trying to chip away at this thing. So right there I've got a block, and I'm going to set up my laser here. First I'm just again double checking the layout of these things. So the first thing I need to do is get these things level. So I've got my laser set up about 1.5 inches or so above the table, and I just put a line on the block of wood, and I will shim everything up to that line. So I was just going around and checking, seeing where everything was at. So the slider was a little bit lower than this saw. This saw was pretty easy to just shim up and get it where I needed it. But before I do anything, I need this thing to be level, all of this to be level, so then I can base my cabinet height off of that. So it took my time. You can kind of see here, I mean, it's kind of hard to see my line on the camera, but it's there, and I am right on it the whole way around this table saw. So then over to this saw, you can see I had to get a 1/2 inch piece of plywood underneath there, and then right here I'm just getting these legs, and I have my block on top of the sliding carriage up there, so I've got it nice and level. I added a piece of 3/4 under the legs because I could have twisted them all the way down, but they were pretty close to the end of the threads, so I just added a little block down there. And then I'm getting this saw shimmed to where it's good, and then on the inside what I'm doing here is there's these little bolts that are like the leveling feet for this thing. So I've got it shimmed to where it's level, and then I'm just screwing the bolts in so they are hitting the plywood. Now I'm figuring out my toe kick and cabinet height and all that. So the edge bander, I was just checking the height of that, it's a little bit low, so I'm going to adjust the leveling feet on that to bring it up about a 1/2 inch, and that way it'll be above the table saw top and it won't interfere if I need to run a big piece through there. And just really thinking here about how I'm gonna set these cabinets and making my list. So this floor is pretty far out from the front of the cabinet saw to the front of the slider. Before I can actually figure out my height of my boxes, I wanted to make the toe kick platform first, get that installed and leveled, and then I can figure out the height of my boxes. So this is the next day here, and I'm just carefully laying out exactly where I want these cabinets to go. So I figured out where I want the toe kick to be set, and then I just go and get it all leveled and I just toe screwed it to the ground. Kind of nice having plywood floors. And then setting the other one, I'm gonna have another cabinet on that side, getting it leveled, make sure it's leveled with my other toe kick so that my cabinets are the same height. And then here, I'm just measuring from the toe kick up to my level there to get the height of my boxes. Had to remember to take off 3/4 for the top. I actually set these about a 1/16 below the table, just so there's no interference there, and it worked out. You'll see it works out really good. Here is just one of my little dust collectors, using this for temporary setup till I get my other ones all hooked up and piped in. Had to make a makeshift outfeed table here. This was the closest thing I had. I do have a rolling stand, but it's at the other shop, I think. I'm pretty sure I still have one somewhere, but this was the closest thing to the height of the saw that I had. And man, ripping full sheets without the proper height outfeed table is a pain in the butt. You'll see I gotta kind of, once I get to here, I gotta kind of, flip it back and get it to go on top of the other table saw. These sheets of plywood, you'll see when I put the tops on, they're kind of like potato chips, a couple of them. So I'm just trying to use them up on the shop cabinetry. And right there, I was just checking to make sure I was still all level, even though with the laser, I'm like, man, still want to throw a level on it and just make sure. So getting box parts ripped up here, I rip all my stuff on the regular cabinet saw and then bring it over to the slider to cross cut. This little slider has been great for me. The reason I got this and not a full-size one was because my other shop, it was tight and I wouldn't have really been able to, I would have been able to fit a big slider, but it would have taken up so much space. This shop, I do plan on eventually getting a full-size slider in here because it would take the place of both of these. I would still keep a regular saw, but it would not go in the middle. I would have this whole area for the big slider. But for now, this saw has really been great. I've had it for almost 3 years now. You can see in the background there, I've just got bins and boxes of stuff, and it all needs a place to go. So I have lots of shop cabinetry to make. In this shot, it kind of looks like it's close to hitting this fence on my other saw, but we're really not even close at all. I set it up so that I can cross cut a full sheet on the slider and not have it interfere with this fence at all. All right, so right here I'm taking all my sides and putting them face to face and getting ready to drill the shelf pin holes. So I put all of them face to face, and then I'll take my Sharpie and just label them on the side. I just put arrows going up and then an arrow on each one pointing in, so I know what the top and what the face is, just so when I go to drill the holes, I know where the top and bottom are. And this machine has been fantastic. I've had this thing for about 5 years. I remember one of the first big closet jobs that I got, and I would have had to drill probably thousands of shelf pin holes. So I bought that thing, and it's been fantastic. Here we go, just putting our boxes together. Nothing fancy, just nailing them and then pre-drilling and screwing them together. Now, I didn't edge band these boxes or anything because my edge bander is not wired up for power yet, and I was not gonna iron on edge banding. So it's funny you'll see a couple other things I had to do kind of the old-fashioned way, or the way I used to do them, because not all my machines are hooked up yet, and kind of take it for granted after a little while of having everything set up, and then not having it is like, oh man, I can't really be as efficient or do everything I want to do. So yeah, like I said, none of these are getting edge banding because I was not going to iron it on, and it's shop cabinetry anyway, so it'll be fine. And I use a tapered countersink bit to pre-drill everything. And then for the backs, they just get half inch back nailed to square up the cabinet, and then I come back and do the same thing, pre-drill and screw them on. This is the same way I build my Euro style cabinetry. That's mostly what we do out here. That's what everybody wants. And I have an upcoming kitchen where we'll really get into my construction methods and stuff like that and my reasons why. But it's basically the same as what I'm doing here. All right, boxes all together. Can set them on the toe kicks. Toe kicks are perfectly level, so this part is easy. I wanted to do solid toe kicks on everything in here because in my last shop, all my workbenches and stuff did not have solid toe kicks, and man, the dust and stuff that just builds up under there would drive me nuts. So I'm really trying to avoid that and keep a cleaner space. So all my cabinets that I do in here will have solid toe kicks. All right, so we got the cabinets in place. So this is all going to be filled in with countertop. That's what I saved those pieces of melamine I have back over there. But I'm going to have to add some kind of cleat on here to support it so it can sit on top of it. Same back here. And then obviously it'll sit on top of the cabinets. But I think this is going to be sweet. So this obviously under here is open, because I need to have access to this in case I need to get into the saw. So I'm probably going to build something on wheels here that I can pull out and get out of the way. So just making some holes so I can put these cleats on here to support the top. And you see what I'm using there? I'm using my stick ruler because it's 3/4 and I want to be just 3/4 below the top of this table. That's what my countertop is going to be. If you guys haven't seen that video where I go over my everyday carry stuff that I use in the shop, go back and check out that video. It's on my page, posted it a few weeks ago. And we talk all about this stick ruler. It's my favorite tool. All right, so I'm bringing a full sheet of 3/4 over to cut down for the top. I was gonna use the pieces of melamine that I saved, and the sizes of them, they're just not gonna work. I'm gonna use them for something else. So I'm just using some pre-finished birch here same stuff that I used to make the cabinets. And you'll be able to see here in a minute, these sheets are, at least this first one is like a potato chip. So just measuring here for the notch that I've got to make in it, marking it out, and then the slider really makes this super easy to cut this out. Going right to my line, turn it, make the other cut. And boom, it's done. Let's see how we did here. Not bad. Get on there. There we go. Sweet. Yeah, you can see the piece on the right. It's all flared up. So I'm just marking here for some biscuits and throw some biscuits in there just so these things are nice and aligned. I do have the Zeta P2 lamello as well. But sometimes regular biscuits are still good. I use this thing way more than I use the Zeta. But the Zeta is awesome. I freaking love that machine. It's incredible. I didn't clamp that joint or anything. I just pushed it together and then screwing the top down. So I went around and screwed the top into those cleats. where it overlaid the cabinets, I just screwed from inside the cabinet up into the top, so I didn't have any unnecessary screw holes or anything like that in the top. But this thing starting to come together, and this is sweet. I'm super excited about this. This is actually my first cut with the outfeed table, and it is awesome. It's ripping down some material for some doors for these boxes. That is sweet. Everything is nice and flat and level and just really nice. Really, really nice. So just breaking down this material for the doors. I've got 4 doors going on this side and then just 1 door on that small cabinet on the other end. All right, here is one of those things I was talking about, having to drill the holes for the hinges. My hinge machine, I don't have my big compressor here yet, or hooked up yet, and my small compressor, the fittings are all different that hook up to it. So yeah, I don't have that machine available to me right now, so I'm doing it the old-fashioned way with this Craig jig. This thing's sweet, works great, but man, the hinge boring machine is so much faster than this. And this thing, I never even really used to do it like this. I have this because I needed to drill some hinges in the field one time, so I bought it. But I used to drill my hinge holes with the drill press, and I would get the screw-on hinges. Right here, I'm just laying out the doors. I'm drilling a hole that's gonna be like my door pulls. I didn't want anything sticking out because this is gonna be kind of a high traffic area next to the saw and next to the edge bander. So I just wanted everything smooth and clean. And just throwing a round over on everything, 1/8 inch round over. Like I said, nothing's getting edge banded because I don't have an edge bander right now. So all right, so back to the screw-on hinges. I just grab a straight edge, put it across, and that makes the hinges in line. And then obviously, if they're in line that way, they're going to be square. So just throw that on there, make sure they're in line, screw them on, and that's it. Luckily, I still had some screw-on hinges left over from when I used to use them. And those Milwaukee routers, man, those things they're the best. So I made some marks on the inside of the box for where the hinge plate goes, and then just throwing these doors up. Get off the phone, dude. Get back to work. And then just adjusting everything as I go. The inside of the box is 24 inches deep. I wanted to make sure that I could fit the box of 21-inch drawer slides in there comfortably. So they'll stack in there no problem. Throwing a round over on the edge of the top, 1/8 inch round over, and then we got shelves going in. All right, guys, so that's it. This was the first project, obviously, that I needed to get done in here because trying to build stuff without an outfeed table and rip full sheets of plywood is just a nightmare. But I really took my time kind of figuring out how I was going to build this thing. So with the layout of the two saws, I can have my fence all the way over as far as it'll go, and I'm not going to interfere with anything on the slider. I never use the fence really on the slider. I only cross cut on it. I don't really like the fence on that. That's why I have this saw. And then same thing with this. If I'm cross cutting a full sheet of plywood, I have more than 4 feet from the back of the riving knife to here, so I won't have to like run over here and move the fence or anything like that. Nothing will be in the way. And then I even thought about, well, this is coming out, the electrical, this is going to be moved. This is just temporary. We have temporary cord running to some power over here to power these saws right now. But these will be out of here. We're going to have a drop coming down, powering both saws. And then our dust collection is going to come down right here as well and Y off into each saw. So that way, where it comes down, it's not going to interfere with this or with that fence. And then coming around here, this little cabinet, this will probably be stuff that I don't use all the time, but we'll have a place for it. Coming around, we've got this whole opening under here. I'll probably be able to store some stuff that I barely ever use way in the back there. And then, like I said, I'm gonna build either a rolling cabinet with some drawers or maybe just like a scrap bin that I can throw scraps into, but it'll be on wheels because if I need to get into this saw, I need to be able to take that out. And then these cabinets here, I've only got one shelf in each of them right now. I did make 2 for each, but these are gonna get loaded with drawer slides and that kind of hardware and anything else. I really wanna have tons of storage all around this place so everything has a spot. There's still some other things I need to do as well, like fill in these floor pieces from where we took out the wall. This cabinet here, this I've had for years. I think I'm gonna actually make some drawers for those because that thing just gets filled with dust. So make some drawers, keep all my table saw accessories, which are in there, in those drawers. But that's it. The next project on my list is a vertical plywood storage rack to go right here. It's gonna be this way, so all my sheets will be stored vertically. And then from about here over will be miter saw station and lumber storage. So that and this whole wall is next on the list, but had to start with that. And I'm really glad I did, and I'm so stoked with it. It is gonna be so much better than the way I had it set up in the last shop. So like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and we'll see you guys in the next video.